Hello, my name is Alex Moncada, and I will be talking about the benefits of climbing. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about both the mental and physical benefits of climbing, as well as giving some beginner tips to climbing and some opportunities for outdoor and indoor climbing in Tucson, Arizona. So to introduce the benefits of climbing, I want to start off with a quote from The Nature Principle. The quote states that new research supports the contention that nature therapy helps control pain and negative stress. And for people with heart disease, dementia, and other health issues, the nature prescription has benefits that may go beyond the predictable results of outdoor exercise. So to me, this is just generally encompassing why it's important to exercise outside. And climbing is a great way to do so in an easily digestible format. So now I'm going to talk about the physical advantages of climbing. The first of these is that it improves total body control. And it does so because when you're climbing, you need to be acutely aware of every part of your body. Now that includes your hands, your feet, but some people don't realize that includes your hips too. Whenever you have a wall that's a bit more tilted than others, you have to make sure that every single part of your body is in line with the hold that you're using. And so I think it really promotes like an innate sense of body control that can help you in all areas of life, whether it be walking around or going upstairs. I think it's a great way to improve this. And so next, and of course the most clear and obvious, it improves your total body strength. So there's the obvious examples of your hands obviously getting stronger and your biceps and your back, but your legs will also get stronger as well, as there are many climbs that heavily emphasize the single squat, like the single pistol squat and other leg motions. And this also includes things like your cardiovascular health, because there are free solo climbs, which are generally shorter, and there are longer climbs, which can be much more difficult on your cardiovascular health. So in climbing, to improve, you won't have to improve your cardiovascular health, and you will do so over time, even if you're just climbing and not including any other types of exercise. Now, another very important physical aspect of climbing is your flexibility. Climbing is made much easier if you have good flexibility, as a lot of holds, especially once you start to advance, become somewhat difficult to grab if you don't have good flexibility. You'll have to contort your body in ways that you likely have never had to before. And this like climbing would be a great way to start doing that in a way that's fun and that has a goal. It's very difficult to try and improve your flexibility if there's no goal behind it, because it doesn't give you a challenge, like you don't have anything to strive towards. But whenever you have the goal of reaching a better climb or achieving a goal that you're projecting, which is a common term for a climb that you've taken on over a period of time, then it makes that exercise or flexibility training much more digestible, as I said earlier. And so next, and this is a very common problem in the modern world, is it improves your posture, because climbing is great for developing your upper back and rhomboids, which is a critically underdeveloped muscle that a lot of Americans suffer with because they're always sitting down with their shoulders hunched forward, and this can cause them a great deal of pain in their lower back and their upper back, and just throughout their daily life, whether it be picking up their child or picking up just a simple box from the floor. So before I begin to introduce the mental benefits of climbing, I first want to start off with a few quotes from both the Nature Principle and the Nature Fix. So the first quote that I want to introduce is from the Nature Fix, and it states that if we don't have certain outer experiences, we don't have certain inner experiences, or at least we don't have them in a profound way. We need the sun, the moon, the stars, the rivers, and the mountains and the birds, and the fish in the sea to evoke a world of mystery. So outdoor climbing is a great way to get outside and invoke that sense of mystery and have those outer experiences, as well as great inner experiences that many climbers seem to find whenever they're outdoors, especially with groups. It's very common for people to say that they find themselves outdoors on their climbing trips. Now this next quote is from the Nature Fix, and it states that the restorative benefits of nature might in fact spring from what's not outside, the pings, the dings, and the mental disruptions of a wired life. So this is essentially saying that getting away from technology is part of what benefits us in nature, and climbing again is a great way of getting away from technology. Whenever you're climbing, you're focused on one thing, and that's the climb ahead of you. You're focused on that puzzle that's in front of you, and you're not caring about your phone or the dings. Generally, you're away from them as you're outdoors, and you likely won't have any signal to begin with. but you're with either yourself or a group of friends, and you're focused on a problem ahead. And I think this is a very basic way to get back to nature, get back to our roots. So now that I've introduced the mental advantage of climbing with those two quotes, I want to start giving the real advantages. And the first one of those is that climbing provides a great community. So climbers are generally very open to everybody and will bring in any newcomer regardless of like their skill level. And I think it's really important, as today many people lack a sense of community and they start looking for it, but it's hard to find. And a sense of community is really important for people to feel like they belong, and that they belong in a group that has similar goals as them. And this community is great for improving your health, improving your mental health as well. And I think it's just overall one of the most inclusive communities that I've met. And so another great advantage of climbing is that it improves cognition. What people don't really realize when they start getting into climbing is that every climb is essentially a puzzle. So especially once you start to advance, you'll see a lot of climbers, they'll sit back behind the wall and they'll stare at it for a good few minutes. And that's because they're trying to figure out the puzzle of the climb. So whenever you're climbing, your enemy is gravity. And so what you want to do is you want to put your body in the best possible position to minimize the effects of gravity. And this can be actually fairly mentally difficult, which is a surprise to many people. And so whenever you do this, especially once you get into hard climbs for your skill level, not just overall, but for your skill level, you're going to start projecting. And a project is essentially a climb that takes you several weeks, days, or months to do. And that project is essentially a puzzle, because realistically, you're not going to improve that much over the course of a few days. But what you're doing is you're solving the puzzle. And I think this provides a great mental benefit, same as any other puzzle would. And so next is that whenever you go climbing, especially outdoors, a pretty basic requirement to do so is that you have to hike to wherever you're going. And this obviously provides whatever benefits you would get from hiking. And so this would include essentially the journey or adventure that you would get, seeing every animal, the chirps, all of it when you're going outdoors, and it obviously provides the cardiovascular benefits of a hike. And so next is that climbing decreases anxiety and stress, and this comes with, of course, the benefits of nature, but also some of the improvements that you would get in your health. So doing this cardiovascular and strength-based exercise has been proven to decrease your anxiety and stress, and it really it made me personally feel a lot better overall. And as we talked about a lot in the nature principle, climbing also helps to fix the cycle of dehumanization. So what it essentially does is it gets you back in nature, away from technology, and it puts you in some situations in a group of people that have a similar goal outside of technology. And so it really gets us back to where we were as a species in nature. And I think that's really important for growth. So now I'm going to provide a bit of a beginner's guide to climbing. So in climbing, there's generally grading scales. And so what these scales do is they essentially just grade whatever climb you're doing on a fairly subjective level. And it just kind of gives you a metric from which to improve upon. And I think this provides people with a great goal that they can physically see on a page to strive for. So for me, it gave me a lot of motivation whenever I saw a number, a physical number going up as I climbed more and more. And I think it does for a lot of other people. And so whenever you're first starting to climb, the big skills that you want to work on are your flexibility, your hand strength, and your back strength. So what a lot of people lack, and also your shoulder strength actually, but what a lot of people lack is that flexibility. You're going to want to do a lot of stretching, and this will help decrease the likelihood of injury. And as well as with your back strength, you're going to want to do a lot of pull-ups, a lot of forward pulling motions, which will improve your upper back strength and as well as your lower back strength. And another one that you really should improve as well is, of course, your cardio. Your cardio is going to help you do longer climbs, climb better as time goes on, and it's just going to overall make your sessions longer and much more enjoyable. And so what you really want to do is you want to start getting started climbing both indoors and outdoors, because of course you can go outside, and there's many places, especially in Tucson, where you can go hiking and find a lot of easy free solo opportunities that don't even require mats, as a lot of them are right over a nice sandy beach that really doesn't require too high of a climb. But of course the weather's not always going to be great. You want to be able to find some places to climb indoors so that you continue to enjoy the activity that you love. And so I'm going to be listing several of those places in the next slides. So some opportunities for indoor climbing in Tucson include Rock Solid Tucson, Rocks and Ropes of Tucson, and the Block Tucson. So personally, I go to Rock Solid, and I think Rock Solid is a fantastic gym that has the opportunity for 24/7 climbing if you get a certain membership, which doesn't cost more than the normal one. So you can climb there as long as you complete a course, and then you can go on whatever hours, regardless of whether or not staff are there. And so I think this provides a great opportunity to go whenever needed. So you don't have, you can work around your schedule and still climb regardless of the weather and anything. I think this is really important to continue improving, and so that you don't lose the habit of exercise, even if you can't do it outside, which understandably some days is going to be impossible. Now, arguably most importantly, here I've included a map of great outdoor climbing spots in Tucson. Now, for some of these, you're going to need gear and a group with a harness and ropes. But for many others, there's going to be free solo climbing. Now, this is not like an Alex Honnold documentary where it's going to be hundreds of feet in the air. These are likely fairly low to the ground, probably about 10-ish feet at the most, and they're going to have sometimes sand on the bottom, but sometimes you may want to bring some sort of padding. And so on these, you're going to be able to go either on your own or with a group and hike up to the spot and have a great time climbing outdoors. And Tucson is an especially great city for this, as we have year-long great weather and generally dry conditions, as dry conditions help to keep the rocks dry, of course, because when they're moist, it can become nearly impossible to climb something that otherwise you'd find generally fairly easy. So for this video, these are the sources that I used, and this includes the Nature Principle, Nature Fix, and a website just giving me some more ideas on the benefits of climbing. Thank you for watching the video.